Welcome to Meldon Law and Friends. I'm Jeffrey Meldon, founder and attorney at Meldon Law, and we're going to have a great show today. It's the beginning of the new year, and we want to get all kind of tax tips and maybe help you find someone to do some business planning with you so you have a better shot of succeeding. My guest today is Michael Solomon, owner and lead accountant for Accounting Personalized, Inc. Welcome to the show, Michael. How you doing?
Doing great, sir. Thank you for having me here.
Good. Well, this is a good time of the year. I know as an accountant, this time of the year gets busy pretty soon because you have April 15th deadlines for filing returns, right?
Of course, sir. Yeah, it always feels great to be important again every year during this time.
Well, this is when it happens, right? In January, everybody, they finish the year and then they start accumulating their data and everybody's trying to figure out different strategies. However, I read all these journals and articles that say plan ahead, okay?
Yes, sir.
So let's talk a little bit about that. First of all, tell us a few words about your business and what are some of the clientele that you service.
Certainly, sir. And again, I appreciate you having me on here. So my business name is Accounting Personalized. We are a small, medium-sized accounting business out of Gainesville, Florida here. Go Gators. We essentially cater to small businesses, high net worth individuals, pretty much anybody that has a question is really our kind of niche, if you will, where we specialize in that planning aspect of not only tax preparation, but trying to make a long-term system / goal for somebody and taking accounting to that next level and try to understand what that really means on the individual and business level.
You know, we just had our budget meeting for 2025.
Yes, sir.
Yesterday, actually. And, we sat down with what our budget was last year, where we want to go this year. What are some of the things that you do to help small and medium-sized businesses get to the point where they're actually making informed decisions on business strategy?
Yeah, it all starts with the numbers, to be realistic with you. So accounting, we have a mistress, and that mistress name is Sally, same as last year. So realistically, what we're doing is we're looking at what somebody has done, because for most people, we don't change our habits all that much. So we're trying to see where we came from, where we think that we're going to be going from there, and then we interpret from that different goals, different metrics for them. We also try to put a little bit of our own flavor in there occasionally with suggestions for individuals. Again, trying to better that business based on their industry and whether it's what we see politically changing in from a climate perspective. We see new rules coming in. As you may or may not be aware, 25 is the last year for the current tax code, so we'll be changing that soon for us. The stress is real for us accountants to see what's on the horizon. But what we're doing is trying to plan for what those future tax codes and tax changes are going to do for our clients. So as soon as we hear differences, whether that's going to be an industry impact or an individual impact, whether capital gains, Social Security, debt collection, whatever it is, we're trying to make effective changes early for our clients and try to plan for that longer term.
So the 2017 Tax Act will expire in 2025?
That's correct, sir.
So the rules will be the same through 2025.
Yes, sir.
However, if there's new legislation or renewal of the Tax Act, then you'd have to look at what the new rules are coming in. And as I read a lot, I understand that incoming President Trump wants to renew the 2017 Tax Act and maybe add some more things to it.
For sure. So the lobbying body that represents my industry is called the AICPA. And from what they have released to us, the thought is that they're going to likely renew back to the original kind of code. So bringing back a lot more of that bonus depreciation, which has now kind of gone out of the way. If you're a small business owner, I'm sure you're aware of the bonus depreciation. That was really helpful to kind of stimulate the economy. So trying to bring back certain things like that. They are saying certain things for obviously individuals that have tip-based wages and obviously forgiveness of debt and how that's going to be looked at. So there's a lot of things on the docket right now. It's going to be a busy year for them in Congress.
Yeah, I know the politicians were telling all the tip-based workers that they weren't going to tax their tips, and I'm thinking to myself, that's a lot of money.
For sure, I think it really may impact the Social Security Administration on how they collect things, and although it may be a relief to some restaurants that have their margins have tightened because food costs has gone up, so that may be some relief for them not having to pay the employer side of Social Security and Medicare for those tips. So there's a lot of benefits from it. I'd like to see how it's actually going to be implemented. Again, accountants don't really like change all that much, so we kind of fight it. So to see how they're going to implement it is going to be fun.
Well, what are some other things on the table that you've heard about?
So a lot of stuff, obviously, the incoming President Trump is a real estate man, so we are expecting some changes in the real estate market. A lot of stuff that the 2017 tax code allowed was for what's called cost segregation. So if you were buying real estate to rent it, you were allowed to depreciate things at different intervals. That was really helpful and really kind of made a boom for Airbnb and Vrbo. So you had a lot of folks that wanted that passive income, and they didn't really know how to go about it or what the advantage was for them. And it really allowed for a lot of deductions for folks early on to get over that threshold and get a little bit of a safe harbor, where it actually, in a unusual way, benefited them to have that rental home or multiple rental homes or continuing to acquire them. So it's going to be interesting to see if that comes back. Qualified business income deduction, we are hoping stays. That's a really big one for small businesses, just allows them to get a little bit of a credit for being self-employed. A lot of self-employed tax code things don't really help the self-employed person, right? We end up paying the employer side of Social Security and Medicare. Obviously, we have different tax deadlines, so S corps and partnerships file earlier than everybody else. So there's just different rules and different advantages to different things like that.
So real estate is something that I know a little bit about. My father was a real estate developer, and I worked in the business until I graduated law school. So I learned a little bit about real estate, and it's something I own a few rental properties here in Gainesville. So would there be any changes as far as accelerating depreciation and things like that?
So for existing rentals, we're not expecting any code changes that would assist something that's already in place. What we're seeing is potentially some code changes that would assist an individual. Let's say like an AC unit went out at your one of your rental properties, right? Mm-hmm. That's a big expense for you to kind of take on, right? And for the average person that has one or two rentals, that's a big burden. They're not used to, hey, I've got to put a $5,000 or $7,000 or $9,000 AC unit in all at one time. So the ability to put that AC unit in and potentially advance that depreciation at the point of putting it in service is going to be tremendous for that industry. And it not only obviously helps the taxpayer potentially, but it may also help the residents of that place because it's, again, encouraging the person that owns the rental to fix things quicker, right? Because they're getting some advantage there. So it is a double-edged sword that they are trying to achieve, both that stimulus of let's fix things, let's get up to code, and that does trickle down to states and then local governments to, again, try to make those rental properties a little bit nicer, make sure they're up to date, make sure the roof's not leaking, everything's insured and things are done nicely. But it's also trying to help up front the cost of a lot of those things and get credits for that.
It's a deduction from your taxable income.
Correct. Yeah. So, and they're passive, active, and material. When you're doing rentals, not to get too far into the minutia, you'll get me down a tax code rabbit hole. But essentially, based on how much activity you're having in your rental, you could potentially take some of those losses based on, hey, I had to fix this rental and I didn't really make money on it, or I had to reinvest my money there. I can take those losses against my other earned income, which a lot of these folks do have other earned income.
So I know that in our business, some friends of mine that own law firms, they'll go out and buy these, big trucks or cars, that are, well, I think there was over 6,000 pounds, and you could deduct the full cost of it in year one or something.
So that code has changed a little bit. So that's Section 179 has changed a little from the days of old, where it used to be, I think they called it the G-Wagon rule, where you could go buy a vehicle over 6,000 pounds and write off the whole thing. Now there is a limitation to Section 179 specifically on vehicles, which is about 30,000. So it's a little more than 30,000 on the limit. But you can then take bonus and still depreciate the remainder of it. But at the one time, you can really only take that 30,000 plus the bonus.
So if you buy a $50,000 vehicle, you can write off 30,000 in year one.
Correct, of the Section 179, and then you can take bonus plus whatever remaining on the useful life.
And then you can depreciate it over 5 years or
Correct.
7
Yes,
years
sir.
or something like
Yes,
that.
sir.
And then, a friend of mine who owns a law firm in another state, they bought half of they have a growing practice and they needed shelter. They bought half of a $15 million jet.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And they said that the tax benefits on it were amazing.
Yeah, so if we could all be so fortunate, obviously, to get the jet, there are special rules for different things. So a jet still is looked at as equipment. So you could potentially take a jet fully in the first year.
So
if that was what you're looking for. Yeah.
I think they have gross revenues of 30 million or so.
Oh, yeah.
And so they probably had a big profit. So they wanted some write-offs to reduce their tax consequences, right?
For sure, and that's really where our firm tries to come in, right? If let's say they had a big case that had a good size payout, and we knew that judgment was going to be exercised, right? We generally will hear from that client so we can implement those strategies in advance, because we don't want to just spend money to spend money, right? We want to be smart about what we're spending, right? So we're trying to take what we actually are going to use to whether it's going to expand our business, we're going to develop our business more by attracting better talent. We're going to try to use that as a reinvestment to the best of the current tax code in the strategy. So it's that long term, not just looking at this year, but trying to say what this year and how this year can impact potentially next 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, and trying to look out that far. Unfortunately, my crystal ball ran out of batteries many years ago, but generally speaking, we can look at what our tax code is saying today and make a judgment on, do we think the tax code is going to be worse for us in the following years or better based on what our income levels are, and strategically try to influence that based on purchases potentially or retirement accounts or, again, different strategies for structure.
Yeah, I mean, our strategy, we're scaling up now. Mm-hmm. So we're reinvesting most of our profits into marketing and branding, and because that's how we scale up. Mm-hmm. And so that's one easy way. I know a lot of people that have small businesses, they write off a lot because, if it's related to the business, then they're allowed to do it under the tax code.
For sure. And as an accountant, we love attorneys because you guys definitely read and try to understand the spirit of what that tax code is, right? The tax code is never really cut and dry. There are certain things that, it's one way or the other and there's no real middle ground. But a lot of the tax code is interpretation, and it is about challenging the idea of how are we going to interpret this in the best way for us as the taxpayer. And as the taxpayer, you have that right to basically go to the IRS and say, this is how we're interpreting it based on how we're reading it. And most of the time, they do rule in your favor if you do take it far enough where you're in tax court. But the idea really is, again, to try to interpret that tax code to the best use for you as the taxpayer.
Yeah, there was one ruling that really kind of aggravated me. I'd buy suits for court purposes and wear them, in court only. And the IRS said I couldn't write it off, right?
For sure.
I guess there were some abuses of that write-off.
Now, there is a way around that. We can get the inner lining of the suit to say Meldon Law on the inside of it, and then it can only be used for Meldon Law because it's all branded. So as soon as you brand it, you're good to go.
Oh, really?
Yes, sir. I believe there was a court case out in Arizona that was similar to that, of branded apparel actually is a marketing.
Well, we spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on branded apparel that we give away.
For sure, yes, sir.
Some of it's apparel, some of it's koozies, some of it's, other tchotchkes that we find around. And it really is used for the business, to grow the business. So I guess that must be the reasoning for, why branded apparel would be different than non-branded.
For sure. And in our interaction, or in my historical interaction with the IRS, I have found that when we interact with the agents, under an audit, or they're trying to challenge us on something, the spirit of the law is that if I have something branded, I'm advertising. It doesn't necessarily mean I have to have a return on that particular investment. It could just mean that I'm trying to establish myself as a pillar, right? So like I have a lapel pin, right? So I can write off my lapel pins that I make. But the spirit of that is that you're going to see that, whether it's visually recognizing it or subconsciously recognizing it. If you saw me walk around with a lapel pin, you're going to eventually go, oh yeah, I keep seeing this accounting personalized in my head or, in front of me. So it's when you have a tax question, you're going to go, oh, let me call that accounting personalized guy, right? So it's the same thing if you had branded apparel, right? It says Meldon Law on your suit. Somebody's going to say, I saw this guy that had a suit on, what? Oh, Meldon Law, right? So that's kind of the spirit of that law when we've been challenged in the past.
The owner of the Atlanta Falcons owns Home Depot. His name is Arthur Blank.
Yes, sir.
And I saw a picture of him wearing a suit, a full suit, with the Atlanta, all of their sign, the trademarks.
Yes, sir.
And I mean, it's, red with, the Atlanta, whatever, the trademark is, and I was thinking to myself, I could probably get one of those with gators all over it, and that would really look sharp.
Well, I was trying to think internally if we could convince you to get a marketing of shoes with gators on them for Meldon Law, something that looked like a gator for your shoe, just to see.
Well, actually, now that you mention it, okay, you see my.
Oh, we got the Meldon Law gator socks. Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Yes, sir.
Definitely a write-off, right?
For sure. For sure.
Well, so we're laughing about some of this stuff, but it's serious that. There's so many opportunities when you have a small business, which I understand when I say small, under 20 million, but somebody starting a business in the middle of their growth cycle with a business, somebody with high net worth, those are the kinds of folks that you can help the most, right?
For sure. And again, it's about being strategic, right? So we don't want to write off everything under the sun, right? Because it looks on paper like we made no money. And when you make no money, nobody wants to invest in you. You can't get loans from the bank because we're not showing that we can pay anything back. So especially in a growth cycle, we want to just be very strategic on how we're doing stuff, proving basically your concept, right? My job as an accountant, and we tell this to clients all the time, is the numbers are what the numbers are, right? So if you have a certain amount of water, I can't change the amount of water that you have. I can just change the buckets that water is in. That's really my creative job as an accountant, is to say, what do you need? When do we need it? And then spread it out and strategically value it. Based on, again, what cycle and what stage you're in and how you're trying to go about doing it.
Yeah, I mean, we're dealing with that all the time because in the personal injury, law firm business, and it is a business. I want to let everybody know I'm proud to say that I'm a businessman. I'm also an attorney, and for most of my career, which is over 50 years, I really didn't run the office like a business because it was myself and a few other people, and the office account, checking account was also my personal account in some ways, right? It's like, honey, we need this. Well, let me see, and I'd try to get a few $1,000s out of the business account and send it over to my personal account and all that. And then all of a sudden, my son Kerry and I decided to scale up and to start really learning about running a business. And that's one of the things I would encourage our listeners and viewers is that when you're starting a business, it's so important to have accountants who can give you the kind of feedback so your strategy has the best chance of success.
For sure. And I think, I mean, obviously you guys are a family business, and you certainly portray that very well. But one of the biggest things that I hear about some of your clients, and we have shared a few, is that when somebody comes in, you guys listen to their story first, right? It's not bring me your documents, right? It's certainly we're going to need these documents. Please bring those with you. But what's really going on? You're trying to understand that client, right? So yes, we're in business to be in business, but there's a value add. There's a sprinkle on top, if you will, right? There's a differentiation between our businesses and other businesses where we're taking value of those clients, and we're really just trying to understand that client, what their real needs are, and then how we're going to achieve that through whatever strategy or proceeding that we're going to go through. And I think that speaks volume, obviously, of your business, but of most businesses when you have that value add that you're offering.
Well, one of the things we've always done is make sure that we communicate with the client a lot. We recently designed a client service specialist or client satisfaction specialist. That's a CSS.
Yes, sir.
And that person's role is to call the client once a month and say, how's everything going? This person has nothing to do with working up the case. Mm-hmm. They're solely a client satisfaction specialist. And one of the reasons we have double the amount of referrals that the big box law firms has is because we focus so much on the client's communication, which, as you know, is always critical. And we get calls all the time where they say they won't answer my phone. They won't, I haven't heard from them in 6 months. And they go, will you take over the case? And we take over some of the cases. So we see how other businesses run their business. And some of them are very profitable. So who am I to say that, if it's a Walmart kind of a law firm where they do, mass volume, that they're not good businessmen. However, we found that by communicating with our clients, our settlements are more than double what the other big box law firms are. So there are strategies that I would call us a mid-size law firm that's big enough to handle any case, but small enough to give individual attention to the clients.
Well, in pretty much any industry, the best compliment, obviously, you can get as a business owner is somebody else referring to you, right? An existing customer or a past customer that said, hey, these folks did a great job. I'm going to send my friend to you, right? Or I'm going to send the guy down the street or whoever, right? Because you've turned them into an advocate. And communication is huge, especially in today's market system. Everybody's more technology driven, right? And we want that instant gratification of, hey, I had the question. So just turning around and letting somebody know hey, we're here, we're on your team, we've got this plan going, that, this is where we are in everything, and kind of explaining that to the client, I think speaks, again, volumes, and that's where you get those referrals from. We do make up a good percentage of our business of accountants or other accountants that are not answering the phone, and we just get called. And we'll get the client just because we answered the phone call. So that is a big gripe. As accountants, we aren't known for our extroverted selves, such as the attorney side. We are definitely introverts, so we're not very good at the phone call stuff most of the time. But it is a point that we certainly try to have that level of communication with the client. Again, with that kind of internal pillar of the planning. But for any business, again, I think it speaks volumes about that business when they make up such a large section of who's coming to see them by the referrals.
Yeah, and the referral cases wind up being better cases. Mm-hmm. Your client comes in, they're usually folks that have decent insurance. Their injuries may be more serious, and that's why they reached out to friends or family for a referral. It's really... it sounds simple, right? Mm-hmm. Answer the phone. If you're starting a new business or you're in a growth cycle with your current business, please answer the phone and make sure those phone calls are taken very, very seriously. I called up somebody today, and the person on the who answered the phone, I just got the feeling of, this is a high school student who has no idea of what's going on. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow. I said, that's a different feeling than when you call a business and the business is responsive. They take your call seriously. You feel like I am going to make sure you get to the right person right now. Can you hold on for a minute? I'm going to track this person down and get them on the phone. And if they're not available, what's a good time to call back? We're going to get back with you. And those things can be done by any business, really.
For sure, and I definitely agree. I think we, and correct me if I'm wrong here, I believe we're both in trust industries, right? A lot of the folks that are coming to see us, these are vulnerable times for them. They certainly don't want me telling them how much money they owe the IRS. That's not never a great conversation. But they kind of come vulnerable. A lot of folks aren't accountants when they come see an accountant. We don't necessarily want somebody that already knows everything, right? That's not necessarily our clientele, but the folks that come in and they just go, hey, I don't really even know what my profit margin is. Those folks are nervous when they come in and see us. And I'm sure it's very similar for you. They're opening up about something that may have been tragic for them. There may be something else going on. They may have some medical issues, and they're having to explain all of that to you while you're with them. And it's sensitive, so that there's a level of trust there. Forbes came out a number of months ago saying that AI is going to be replacing accountants first, basically. And that's just because we don't have that communication strength that other industries have. So our position, I believe, in the next few years is going to be transitioning to more of that client relations part of accounting, right? The software is getting so good and the searchability is becoming so efficient that a lot of folks are going to be able to do this more on their own now. But they're going to be missing that connection of, let me actually have a conversation. Does this seem right? Like an accountant's job is to put you in the best position, and then it's also to protect you from the IRS. So with that, there's that, again, that trust is there, which at least for the first few years in AI, I don't believe is going to be there. They're going to have a lot of folks that, especially larger companies that are going to say, well, I want somebody there that I can go talk to and say, or pick up the phone and say, hey, I got an IRS letter. Why did I get this? Or what's this new regulation mean for me, right there? ChatGPT is great, and I think all this stuff is wonderful, and I'm excited to see what's going to actually transpire over the next few years. But because of that trust, because of that communication, I think that we're almost irreplaceable for the foreseeable future.
So for the example of the person that I mentioned, a law firm owner, friend of mine who bought half of a $15 million jet, private jet, right? And they're going to use it in their business, but they also lease it out and run it as a business, all that. Somebody might run out and make a $100,000 purchase and be able to write it off, right? But they may not be aware of recapture rules, and that they may get a big, reduction in their tax bill in year one, and then in year 3 or 4 or 5, all of a sudden they decide they want to get rid of something, and it hasn't been fully depreciated, and there's recapture and all that, right?
Well, we see a lot of that, especially over the last few years. I'm sure you recall 2020 COVID years. It was really hard to actually get vehicles, right? And
Right.
A lot of these dealerships were charging more than what the vehicle was worth just because they had them available. So a lot of those folks, especially if they financed, are underwater currently on those vehicles. So we're kind of getting hit twice, right? If we're underwater, we may end up having to pay the finance company just to get out of the vehicle. And then on top of that, because we've depreciated it and we've taken these tax breaks, when we get rid of it, we're going to pay a tax basically on an ordinary income. So whatever your tax rate is, we're going to be paying that tax on basically getting rid of that vehicle.
Now, if you fully depreciate something, are there recapture consequences?
There are if you sell it for something, right? So if you just dispose of it and say, hey, I bought this desk and the desk isn't worth anything anymore, I'm throwing it out, there's no recapture. But if Steve Spurrier signed this desk, right, and I go and sell it for $2,000, or it's probably worth way more than that with Coach Spurrier's name on it. But I go sell it, then it has more value than what I have it on my books for. So I will get that recapture for that sale.
Okay. Yeah. Well, and by the way, we are here at Steve Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. And it's an amazing restaurant and museum. The museum here is really one of a kind. Most people don't expect to come to a restaurant and see a first-class museum with all the memorabilia. And what I have to say is we support Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. This is where all the recruits come to. This is the room we're in is a specially built podcast room, and lots of people come in here for podcasts. And so if you haven't been out here, do yourself a favor, come out and visit, and you'll have a good time. Michael, have you been out here for dinner yet?
Oh, it's amazing. I especially like Visors upstairs with the bar and everything, and they've just redone it, so it's an amazing facility here.
Yeah, it's good. What happened was it was too hot in the summer and it was too cold in the winter, so instead of screening it in or leaving it open, they put in regular glass windows. So now Visors is available year-round and it's climate controlled, so we have a good time here. So let's, as we get towards the end of the show, I just wanted to, again, have you talk to folks. Who are the clients that you can help the most, and how do they get a hold of you?
Certainly. So, really, our clientele is small businesses. If you've got questions, you're not sure where your numbers are, that's really our job, to kind of come in and see what's going on and try to help you interpret what the next steps are, and at the very least put a pole in the ground and say this is where we are today and this is where we've been. As an individual, we're just looking for folks that have questions. We love to be challenged, so myself especially. So we're looking for that person that says, I might be retiring soon. How do I go from a W-2 job to retirement? When do I pull money from retirement? I'm having my first kid. What should I change my withholding? But some of that may seem basic to a lot of folks, but it's complicated to a lot of others. So we're just looking for those folks that are in need and have questions, and that's who we're really trying to service.
And how do folks get a hold of you?
Thank you, sir. So our phone number for the office is 352-224-9530. You can also look us up online at accountingpersonalized.com. Or you can Google Accounting Personalized. Hopefully we're the first listing that pops up if you Google Accounting Personalized. And you can actually book appointments with us online. So you don't, if you're one of those introverted accountant types that doesn't want to talk to somebody on the phone, you can actually just click our link on Google Maps and it'll give you appointment slots.
That's great. Our biggest challenge after COVID was getting people to come back in the office. Nowadays, clients want to sign up, and most of our clients now are signed up remotely. And before COVID, everybody came in the office to meet us in person and sign up. And we work on folks' case, and depending on the level of interaction that they want. If they want to come in, we beg clients sometimes. I say, you might have a $1 million case here. Can you find time to come in and spend 25 minutes with us to go over your case, or an hour, or whatever, And it's remarkable to me that there's such resistance as far as people coming to offices.
Yeah, we certainly see that. We actually at 2020, nobody wanted to come in. Obviously with COVID going, but we get a fair mix. A lot of folks do like to come in. We've facilitated Zoom now, and we've tried to integrate Google Join is one of the ones that we're trying to get a little bit better. We're always just really conscientious of that security part of it, since we're dealing with sensitive information. But it's, again, that trust, right? So whatever is going to make the client the most comfortable is what we're going to do.
And that's what we found, too. If the client says, look, I don't need to come in. I know your law firm, you guys do a great job. I was referred by my friend. I just want to get this case going. We have a great intake team that will make it seamless and make it easy. And then some people, the only time we see them is at the end of the case when they pick up their check. And, it's like, oh, okay, if that's how you want it. So I guess the bottom line is, for those of you that are out there, Michael Solomon is available as an accountant to help you with different strategies, and is it's not, no matter where AI goes, there's always going to be decisions that have to be made that AI isn't going to be able to necessarily give you the best advice on, that you're going to need to make strategic decisions that an accountant is well suited to provide that information.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I appreciate that.
So but it's true. I mean, we have a full-time bookkeeper, and then the bookkeeper has somebody that works for the accountant to make sure all the entries are correct, and then the accountant gets all that information at the end of the year and puts together the tax returns.
Yes, sir.
And you have as the business grows, you need more and more support. So, if you want to grow your business and have good, solid advice while you're growing your business, give Michael Solomon a call, and it's called Accounting Personalized. And the phone number one more time?
352-224-9530.
Okay. Well, it was a pleasure having you on the show today, Michael. It's a great time because it's the beginning of the year. Everybody's going to be putting their tax information together. And as changes occur this year, it's going to be really important to have an accountant on your side, because there may be some really big advantages in the tax codes, particularly for businesses, because I think the Trump administration has said that they're interested in helping small businesses grow.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I appreciate your time and having me here. I've got to go get my Meldon Law Gator socks after this. But thank you so much for your time, sir.
Okay. Yes, that was Michael Solomon from Accounting Personalized. And we want to let everybody know we're going to take a short break right now, and we'll be back at Meldon Law and Friends in just a few minutes.
Jeffrey, what are you doing?
Well, I'm joining the band, of course. Since Meldon Law is the official law firm partner of the Florida Gators, I want to help.
Dad, we're litigators. Let's stick to helping people in the courtroom.
Well, can we still hang out and jam a little bit? At Meldon Law, we won't back down.
I was going down a one-way street and a girl that was driving her car T-boned me on my scooter. I ended up going for an MRI and discovering that I had 2 herniated discs. Coming to Carey allowed me to not have to worry about what doctor I was going to see or what physical therapist I had to go to. They say, these are the people we trust. You're going to have a great experience there. And I honestly did each time.
Call Meldon Law. Your consultation is absolutely free.
And I was in an accident. Someone ran a red light and hit me, and I was hurt. You don't know where to turn. Luckily, I called Jeffrey. These big insurance companies, they don't want you to win. They truly don't. But Jeffrey and his firm and the people that work here, they just really fight for you. You call the law offices of Jeffrey Meldon because you're going to need help, and they will help you.
Call Meldon Law right now.
Hey, Sammy, look who's there. Say hi.
Hey!
You again.
Meldon Law, Jeffrey speaking.
Somebody else hit us here.
Here we go again. Welcome back to Meldon Law and Friends. I'm Jeffrey Meldon, founder of Meldon Law. We help people put their lives back together after they've been involved in serious accidents. You can give us a call, 352-373-8000, or go to our website, meldonlaw.com. If you ever have any questions, even if you're not sure you have a case, give us a call. We have a great team of professionals there to help you answer your questions. And if you have a case, we'll be privileged to help you out. A couple things going on in around North Central Florida. This coming Saturday is Meldon Law Day at the basketball game. The Texas Longhorns are coming to play the Gator basketball team, currently ranked number 5 in the country. They whipped up on Tennessee, the number 1 team in the country, and beat them by 30 points. And this is going to be a huge game for the Gators because it's the first time Texas has ever come and played at the O-Dome. And they're in their first year in the SEC, so that makes it really special. And we are going to be there in full force. You'll see me in the center of the court wearing my cowboy hat and some other things to make sure Texas knows they're welcome, although we don't want them to win. We just want them to feel welcome, that's all. A couple other things for the game. We're giving away $19.71 for every free throw made by the men's team, the Gator team. And we do that for every game, and we do it for the women's basketball program as well. Last year, we raised over $10,000 for the Alzheimer's Association. And this year, our big charity we're supporting is the Ronald McDonald House at the University of Florida. It does amazing work helping families whose kids are suffering from life-threatening illnesses like heart disease, cancer, leukemia. Really, they're folks that wind up in an impossible situation, sometimes with 2 or 3 other kids. They have to give up their work in order to give their kid a chance to survive. And we've been out there. My wife, Patricia, helps cook out there. If you want to help, certainly donations are appreciated. However, you can just go there and volunteer to help cook. Every night they cook meals for over 100 people, and they really need all the help they can get. That's our big charity for the year, and we're really trying to promote the Ronald McDonald House. Ocala Chamber of Commerce, January 16th, at the World Equestrian Center. It's going to be, really nice. The Ocala Chamber of Commerce, which we love the chamber out there. They're wonderful. They're having a big event. And if you haven't been out to the World Equestrian Center, it's awesome. It's like the Disney World for horse people and everybody else. So do yourself a favor. It's great. January 25th, Homestead Park. Our good friends out there are having this great goodies car show, and it's going to be classic cars, trucks, music, food, all kinds of entertainment going on, and Meldon Law will be out there January 25th, Homestead Park in Williston, Florida, and we have a new office in Williston, so come and join us. Another big deal in Ocala, the Grandview Casino Night. They're going to have the Grandview Clydesdale Tour tent right in the heart of Florida Horse Park, and tickets are available now. Grandview Casino Night, so you can dress comfortably. There's no dress code. It's very chilled out. And it's called Grandview Invitational, and let's support them. I think they're going to be absolutely terrific. Next, Lake City. We got the Columbia County Chamber of Commerce Ball, February 1st. I think we're going to try to get out there. And the Chamber of Commerce is doing a big deal at the Florida Gateway Fairgrounds from 5:30 to 9:30, February 1st. We're giving away a bunch of tickets on Meldon Law's Facebook page. Just go to Meldon Law Facebook page, and you will see all of the different offers for tickets. We have gymnastics, basketball, men's and women's. Baseball's coming up. Softball's coming up. The women's softball team's ranked number 1 in the country. We've got top 10 team in baseball. There's going to be a ton of great sports coming up. Baseball actually starts in February, so check it out. The baseball games at the University of Florida are so much fun, so join us. That's what's going on. And I'm Jeffrey Meldon. I'm going to do a wrap on the show now. And if you have any questions, give us a call, 352-373-8000. We are here to help. We've been here since 1971, and we will do a great job for you on your case. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next week.